Big news, Auburn football fans. We now know the complete list of the 2025 Auburn football opponents. The last one was revealed today. We're going to talk about who brought you that information, give them a little bit of credit, but also we want to analyze, react, and talk about the full list of Auburn's 2025 opponents, not necessarily schedule, just the opponents. All that's coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family and a special War Eagle and welcome to you, our E2C network family. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, however you got here, whenever you got here. We appreciate you being here and hanging out with us to be part of our little family within the Auburn family. For the purposes of today's stream, we had a little bit of exciting news drop today on social media. Coming to us by way of FB Schedules, or FBS Schedules, as I used to call them all the time. FB Schedules, the final 2025 Auburn football opponent has been revealed, thus completing the list of the teams that Auburn will face. We're going to dive into that, who that is, and look at the full list now. To give you some clarity, though, on what we'll be talking about, this is not the full schedule in terms of times and dates. This is simply the list of opponents that Auburn will face in 2025. We want to dive into that. A couple things that you can do for us as we get started, though. Please do make sure you smash the like button. It is a huge help on getting the show off on a good note, especially if you're watching live. And we'd love to know that you're here. This is a reaction stream, so obviously I'm sharing our thoughts about all this. But of course, we want to hear about your comments, your questions, topics around this bigger topic that you may want to discuss in this particular session. So that's how this will work. This is what we're getting into. Let's do it. So today, FBSCHEDLES.com revealed that they had put in I don't think it was a Freedom of Information request, but something along those lines, public information thing to the university, and found out through that the Tigers had, or at least are in negotiations or finalized, I forget their wording, with their final 2025 opponent for the football schedule. And who is that opponent? Drum roll, please. I don't have a drum here, so I'm just kind of making sure we pretend we're having a drum roll. It is the Mercer Bears. I know you're all so disappointed. You thought it was going to be some big, exciting thing. But look, here's the thing. We've learned from past Auburn football schedules, you should not take anyone lightly. We're not going to bring up that particular one from recent history. But yes, while the news breaking today from FB Schedules is not necessarily super exciting, the implications of that news is what is the most exciting factor out of all of that, the fact that the list is now complete. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to talk about it. And keep in mind that we just did a past live stream when the SEC officially revealed the 2025 SEC opponents for each other, not dates, not times, but that was an official reveal. And Auburn obviously, shared all that alongside that. And to also stress this, Auburn or anybody else hasn't technically confirmed all of these things. This is simply the reporting from FBSCHEDLES.com and the information that they have accrued, the investigation they have done, and usually they're right. So let's dive into it. I'm actually going to bring up a screen grab from their website. Please do check them out at FBSCHEDLES.com. But if you'll look right there, and keep in mind, this is a screen grab from, this time and place when we're actually doing this stream. So those ads and those things on there will be a little bit not as relevant. But if you look there, you're going to see the full list of the Auburn 2025 opponents. Now, we're a ways out from that. We're not even to 2024 starting yet. I know, but it's still exciting to talk about these things and look forward. And it kind of gets you thinking about some of the implications of all of that. So as you'll see, let's talk about what brought us to the point of doing this live stream today. You had the announcement of Mercer being added to the schedule. You will see how they listed on FB Schedules. Everything that is with a date already is already pushed up to the top. Everything that is TBA is all below that. So that's why you see those above. That's not necessarily the order they're going to be in, the times, the dates, all that stuff. The only dates that are set right now are the ones that you'll see at the very top with Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, and now the Mercer Bears on November 22nd of 2025. Now, we've seen Mercer in somewhat recent history for Auburn football. And obviously, that's something that we're kind of used to seeing repeat smaller teams come in to play the Tigers at their place. Hopefully, and I say this with tongue in cheek, hopefully to get beat and take a paycheck, not to beat us and take a paycheck. So we can break this down a couple different ways. Now, I know that y'all don't want to sit here and just overanalyze the exciting announcement of the Mercer Bears being added to it, but that's what prompted this conversation. But let's take a little look and a reaction to what we can take away from this overall schedule. We can break it down into non-con. We can break it down into conference play, which we've already done a little bit on a previous live stream, which you should go watch. And then we can also talk about dates that may be coming up. What does this Mercer edition tell us maybe about the rest of the schedule? I might be doing a full video about predicting that in the future. I got to thinking about that today. So here's what we know. The Baylor Bears will start off on August 30th. The September the 6th, then following weekend, Ball State. Cardinals, that's taking me back to the days of my youth. I felt like we played them a couple of times as, those early games when I was growing up. South Alabama is on the schedule. Now, let me remind you that a certain in-state university will not seem to play their smaller state schools out of fear of taking a loss. Auburn continues to do so. Just saying. South Alabama, the 13th. So 1, 2, 3 to start off at Baylor, then Ball State, then South Alabama. But then the only other thing that we have technically scheduled, because I say technically because we all know when the Iron Bowl is going to happen, at least we hope. Who knows these days? You've got the Mercer Bears on the 22nd, which will be that second to last weekend in November, which means that date for the Iron Bowl would effectively be open. So I would submit to you that the Iron Bowl is listed as TBA. We all know what's going to happen. They're going to put it on Thanksgiving weekend, as it always does, because it has big numbers during that time. So that is what we know right now. Those 4 dates are set. Everything else is pure speculation at this point. So let me take a second and park it there before we dive further into this. What is your opinions about the non-conference schedule? How do you feel about it? I think on the surface, if you use your goggles sitting here in the early part of 2024 and look at the schedule, you're probably like, well, this doesn't seem all that hard of a non-conference because Baylor is definitely in a downturn right now. Maybe they'll bring it back up in a year's time. But you're still going to Baylor out in Waco, Texas in August. Let me say that again. Football in August just makes me upset. I need to bring myself back on the screen, I guess, for a little bit. We'll bring it back up. Football in August just makes me upset. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know why that continues to be a thing that we're trying to make happen. It frustrates me to no end. It's going to be utterly miserable there. Ball State, South Alabama, there's not really much to break down there other than you hope that you're going to get 2 wins at home to start off your home schedule to get things rolling there at home. I would anticipate, based on how the schedules have traditionally worked out for Auburn, and with Oklahoma and Texas coming in, things are just getting crazier. And who knows what else is going to happen with conference expansion. But I would say that after that, you're likely looking at definitely looking at some conference games, probably 1 or 2 away after that point. I want to dive into a little bit what the possibilities could be later on. I've already looked at some of the other schedules previews to see who could or could not fall on certain dates. I'm getting the feeling that we may go with the traditional Texas A&M to start off when we go to Texas A&M to start off our SEC conference games in this season. That's kind of my assumption that I'm looking at right there. Arkansas, I feel like it's going to be on the back end of that. Alabama, we know basically where that's going to be. Georgia, if we look at it, Georgia is probably going to fall somewhere in the end of September, and it's at Auburn. End of September, beginning of October. It feels like in the beginning of October at this point. Kentucky and Missouri could really go anywhere, to be honest with you. Who knows where they'll actually go? but I'll bring it back up again just for a quick look at it. Kentucky, Missouri, and Oklahoma. At Oklahoma, um, I've debated a little bit on where all of these might fall, and I can't really decide where we will potentially go to visit Oklahoma. They're going to have the Oklahoma game in 2024 in the first 5 games, so maybe they return the favor. So basically, here's what I'm submitting to you. There is a possibility where Auburn goes to Baylor, goes to Texas A&M, and goes to Oklahoma really in the first half of their season. Who knows if that's actually going to take place, but that's really a possibility that you have to consider if you're interested in speculating on what the schedule may be. And let's not forget Vanderbilt too. Here I am forgetting Vanderbilt, not giving them credit for being part of the schedule. Here's one thing that I want to point out to you all, and I feel like I'm going to go on a rant on this probably now, but also on our weekly Sunday night show, which is our main podcast that you should join us live for if you've never done so. If you look at that Mercer game now on the 22nd, I'm going to look in the camera right now and say this. That needs to be the homecoming game. And I'm not just talking about because it's Mercer, because I am tired of having sweltering hot homecoming weekends. These early September homecoming things that have been going on for a while now is just messed up. So Auburn, please take that weekend. If you look at it, the Mercer announcement is big for me today for this reason alone. You've already put it at the end of the season, right before effectively the Iron Bowl, right before Thanksgiving week. Yes, the students will be, if I understand the academic calendar correctly, going on break at the end of that week. But you think they won't stay in town for a homecoming week? And even if that's the case, if they leave, it's going to clear out traffic and help you have a better festivity family environment for homecoming. Let's do it in November, please. Thank you. Much appreciated. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm begging you to do. We need that. So that is our big reveal. That is our big announcement today. Again, let me bring it up as we summarize things for you again. And I can take final comments, questions, anything that you may have live that you want to talk about now. You may be just processing this and saying, hey, I need to think about all this right now. And that's fine too. But this is your final notice for things to drop in if you're watching live. Again, the big announcement today, I won't call it big, just the announcement of completion. Mercer being added to the schedule on the 22nd. That was revealed by FBSCHEDLES, who we're using here in the screenshot. They have done the legwork to complete the schedule for Auburn. They have not officially announced this yet, but they usually do good work. So it seems like we know now the complete schedule as things stand right now. Keep that in mind. There's so much influx in college football. So there you go. The only games at the top of that list are the ones with dates. The ones below those with TBA have not been announced or settled yet. So there will be more live stream reactions where we talk about what the schedule fleshed out fully looks like in terms of dates, maybe a few times, things like that. I don't know when those things are going to come out, but there you go. As we round out our show today, please do keep in mind the next times we have scheduled live streams that you're going to definitely want to be here are coming up in the very near future. If you love talking about the Auburn experience, this is the show for you. Sunday nights at 9 Eastern time, episode 72. We'll talk about sports. We'll talk about Auburn culture. We'll talk about the Auburn family. It's going to be a lot in this show. Don't miss it. Hope you can join us live at 9 Eastern time on Sunday. We have a reaction show of sorts. It's a little bit different and unique, but we treat it that way for what you need to know Auburn baseball after the UAB game for the week that was. It would be week 7, I think, at that point. So join us for that if you can. And then we will have a Wednesday night live stream as well. I don't have the cue card ready for you guys yet, but that is next Wednesday night at 8 Eastern time. So that is what you have coming up next. Thomas points out, I hope Baylor is a night game. Boy, don't we all. I think the Baylor fans alone are hoping that it's going to be a night game. I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize they were going to do this 2 years in a row, make us play in August. And it just blows the mind. We should not be starting football in August. I'm sorry. I know it pushes things back a little bit further. This probably means that we're going to have the double bye. I haven't looked at the full math of everything yet. But yes, we have to have, I think it should be a requirement if you're in Texas in August that you should be playing in a night game. And I think it'll be a good matchup. Auburn is definitely a team I think that's more secure in its trajectory because it's got nowhere to go but up at this point. And then Baylor is kind of a little bit on the decline. So they kind of might meet in a happy medium and be a good matchup for a primetime game for the first time. I'm not sure. I have to talk to Clint about that, but hopefully that one is a night game. All right. In summary, bring it back up one final time for all of those you don't want to see it one more time, but you can find us on FBSCHEDLES.com. The big reveal today, Mercer being put on the 22nd, completing the full list of Baylor, Ball State, and South Alabama in non-conference. And then we already have talked about before your SEC schedule of Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. More to come, more to discuss with dates and times in the future. But that is going to do it for now. I thank you guys for joining us. Those of you who are watching live, if you're on the replay, we appreciate you being here as well. As always, thanks for hanging out with us and spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. Till I talk to you again, War Eagle.